If you've taken time off after graduating college, you may be concerned that it'll hurt your chances of being accepted to medical school. But did you know that only about 27% of applicants start medical school immediately after college? So those applicants are actually in the minority. The story of your gap year experience is nothing to shy away from. This essay is an excellent opportunity to show adcoms how you've used your time away from academics to build skills you can't develop inside the classroom. But what if your gap year isn't filled with major accomplishments? What if you took a gap year to save money, to reevaluate your options, or even to work in another career field? What if you've spent multiple years away from school? In this video, we'll discuss various approaches to writing the gap year essay depending on your circumstances. Then we'll go over key pre-writing strategies for the gap year essay so you can set yourself up for a smoother and more efficient drafting process before you even receive your secondary prompts. And finally, we'll show you how to turn an underwhelming, forgettable first draft gap year essay into one that will help convince adcoms that your time away from school has only made you a stronger applicant. This video is part of our 6-video series designed to prepare you for 6 of the most common med school secondary essay prompts: the diversity essay, the adversity essay, the why us essay, the gap year essay, the leadership essay, and the additional information essay. Before we get started, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you can be the first to see our new resources with all the latest updates and guidance on med school admissions. First, let's take a look at a couple of examples of gap year essay prompts. This one from UC Irvine School of Medicine reads, "This essay is only for applicants that have already received their baccalaureate degree. Please clarify for the admissions committee your activities, school, work, and/or volunteer, travel, etc., since receiving your undergraduate degree. You may list them in chronological order, or you may incorporate them into an essay stating why you chose particular activities. If you have just received or will receive your undergraduate degree this year, please discuss your plans for the current year. You have 1,500 characters to respond, which is roughly 350 words." Although this prompt instructs you to detail your activities either in a chronological list or in an essay, we strongly encourage you to choose the latter option. The work and activities section of your primary application likely already includes a list of most of these activities, so this is your chance to contextualize them, provide a backstory, and show how they've helped you develop essential skills that will make you a great medical student and future doctor. Another prompt from Harvard Medical School reads, "If you have already graduated, briefly summarize your activities since graduation. You have 4,000 characters to respond, which is roughly 800 words." This prompt is more simplistic, but it's essentially asking you for the same information as the UC Irvine prompt. And just like your response to that prompt, this essay should also provide context for your activities that can't be conveyed in the work and activities section. It should explore how these experiences, including the ones that may not at first seem immediately relevant to a medical career, have helped form you into the promising medical school candidate you are today. Although most gap year essay prompts take on a similar format, the responses can be as varied as the applicants who write them. After all, there are countless reasons why an applicant might take a gap year or years. Maybe you want to take time off to make sure medicine was for you. Maybe you wanted to wait until you knew you were fully prepared for the task. You may have had specific skills or experiences you wanted to gain first, or perhaps you simply couldn't afford it. Sometimes family or other personal obligations get in the way. It's also possible you never even considered becoming a doctor until years after graduating college. Whatever your reasons, what's most important is that your essay is honest yet intentional. Don't shy away from the truth, but be intentional about the way you frame your response. You don't want to give adcoms a reason to question what you were doing during your time away from academics, or to infer that you were wasting time. Additionally, make sure you don't undersell yourself. Even if you didn't do as much as you think you should during your gap year or years, you should still highlight any efforts you made to learn, serve, and grow. Just to drive the point home, you should include non-medical related experiences in your gap year essays, even if they don't involve working in a lab or treating patients. It's also okay to be honest about your motivations for taking a gap year. If you needed to earn money to start paying off your student loan debt, you can say that. Just don't leave it at that. What skills have you learned that are transferable to medical school and a medical career? What have you done outside of working hours to further your interests and develop your skill set for your future goals in medicine? For example, if you waited tables during your gap year, you might think it's irrelevant to your career ambitions. And if you simply state in your gap year essays that you waited tables without providing any additional context, adcoms might not feel that it tells them much about who you are and what you're capable of. But if instead you describe workplace experiences in which you learned how to function on a team under stressful circumstances, how to keep team morale up, how to lead and train other employees, and how to kindly yet firmly deal with disruptive customers, you can explain exactly how you believe these skills will translate as a med student and future physician. It's okay if your gap year journey feels incohesive or non-linear. Adcoms know that committing to medical school is a big deal. It's usually safe to assume that they would rather admit an applicant who has critically considered their motivations for applying to medical school, even if their journey took a few detours, than an applicant who has simply gone through the motions but never seriously considered what a monumental commitment medical school will be. If you're not currently enrolled in college, you should of course respond to any gap year essay prompts you come across in your secondary applications. But if one of the schools you're applying to doesn't have a gap year prompt, you can often use their additional information prompt or reapplicant prompt to provide details of your gap year experiences. With these prompts in mind, let's go over a few pre-writing strategies you can use to aid in your brainstorming and speed up your drafting process even before you receive your secondary applications. Typically, the most difficult part of the pre-writing process for the gap year essay is finding a way to explain the value in experiences that might not seem immediately relevant to your plans for medical school. The following pre-writing prompts will help you make some of those connections and bring the most relevant information to the forefront. Why did you initially decide to take time away from school? What goals did you initially aim to accomplish during your gap year or years? Did your goals change at any point? What actions did you take to accomplish those goals? How did you spend your time during your gap year or years? List your hobbies as well as every paid and unpaid position you held, including work, internships, shadowing, volunteering, and family obligations. List 3 or more challenges you faced during your gap year or years. How did you grow as a result of those challenges? What new skills or perspectives did you gain? You can approach this part of the pre-writing a bit like you would for an adversity essay. List a few examples of how these skills or perspectives have prepared you for specific scenarios you'll encounter as a med student and doctor. How did you decide you were ready to apply to medical school? Once you've recorded this pre-writing, save it somewhere that you can easily access after you've received your secondaries. This way, you'll be able to keep your drafting process focused, intentional, and efficient as you aim to submit your applications as early as possible in the rolling admissions window. In addition to pre-writing, another great way to prepare before receiving your secondaries is to familiarize yourself with the prompts from previous admission cycles. At our Secondary Essay Premium Example Hub, you can browse the prompts for every medical school in the US and Canada, and then read full-length sample essays in response to each. That's over 1,000 essays in total. Taking what we know about the gap year essay, let's look at an example of a rough first draft gap year essay in response to the Harvard prompt that's unlikely to serve the applicant well in the admissions process. I graduated a year ago, and although I initially didn't know if I wanted to devote my life to medicine, I now firmly believe that my post-graduation experiences have prepared me to be a well-rounded future physician. After 18 years in the education system, my 2 years in the real world have helped affirm my passion for becoming a physician. Along the way, I've also developed a sense of identity, maturity, and purpose outside of academics while connecting with the community more deeply than I ever have before. Upon graduating, I moved to California for a summer position as a river guide in California's Central Valley. Waking up before sunrise with the other 8 guides to prepare the rafts with supplies and make safety checks, then working to the point of exhaustion from dawn until dusk, taught me a lot about how to be a resilient leader. A few months later, I moved back home to New York and started volunteering at a small clinic and at Lenox Hill Neighborhood House, where I've been serving free, nutritious meals to elderly community members. I feel honored to have worked with these resilient and inspiring individuals, and learning about their various health conditions has further solidified my desire to serve my community through medicine. This year, I started an exciting position with a team of researchers at the University of Pittsburgh's Department of Ophthalmology. I've really enjoyed working with and learning from this incredible team, and every day I become more certain that this path is the one I was meant to pursue. I look forward to furthering this research. I know Harvard School of Medicine's state-of-the-art technology and community of award-winning researchers provide the perfect environment for me to continue pursuing my passion for medicine. This draft has the potential to be a great gap year essay. Still, it goes surface level on points where it should elaborate. instead of clearly explaining the internal decision-making process that led the applicant from questioning their desire to become a doctor to being confident in their choice to apply to Harvard Medical School, one of the most renowned medical institutions in the world. We can find a major error in the first sentence where the applicant states that they weren't sure they wanted to pursue medicine when they graduated from college. While there's nothing inherently wrong with that statement, the lack of follow-up could leave adcoms with an incomplete or even negative impression. If the applicant wasn't sure they want to be a doctor, what did they intend to achieve during their gap year? Did they set out to achieve a goal or answer a question, or did they just stumble into one opportunity after another? This mistake continues to occur throughout the essay. Without proper context for how one experience motivated the applicant to seek out the next, it's impossible to determine the motive or passion that was driving them. Further, details about the timing and duration of the applicant's experiences aren't precise, so the timeline is tough to follow. Laying out a clear timeline of events is especially important in the gap year essay because you don't want to leave chunks of time unaccounted for if you're trying to convince adcoms that you are making the best possible use of that time. Overall, instead of telling a compelling story that illustrates the applicant's growth arc during their gap year, this essay draft simply lists their experiences chronologically. It implies that these experiences changed them and sparked new realizations about their aspirations to pursue a career in medicine, but it makes the fatal error of assuming adcoms will draw their own conclusions about how these changes and realizations came about. Now let's take a look at how the strategies and approaches we discussed for writing a gap year essay can help us take that lacking first draft and turn it into a compelling, engaging final draft. When I graduated college last year, I knew I wanted to be a doctor. But I struggled with my confidence and I wanted to prove to myself that I have what it takes. I took a position working as a guide on Kern River in California's Central Valley that summer, thinking it would be a fun challenge that would allow me to indulge my love of nature while determining my next steps within medicine. To my surprise, it taught me how to be a great doctor just as much as any other life experience up to that point. From the first paragraph, this draft of the essay has already done a much better job of establishing a clear reason for the applicant's decision to take a gap year, as well as for their decision to take the summer job as a river guide. The final sentence also hints at why this part of the story is important enough to mention in the introduction of the essay, so adcoms can predict the direction the rest of the essay will take. The next paragraph reads, "Each morning, I woke up before sunrise with the other 8 guides to prepare the rafts with supplies and make safety checks. Throughout the day, we took turns navigating our clients through Class 4 and 5 rapids. At first, I was terrified by the responsibility. If I piloted us off course or capsized the boat, the clients were in real danger of getting hurt or even killed. But I learned how to trust my instincts and maintain my composure, and I made sure every client made it off the river safely. By the end of the summer, I had learned how to shoulder the responsibility of keeping other people alive, maintaining my composure under immense pressure, and making life or death decisions with my team. Equipped with these skills and the confidence that came along with them, I knew I was ready to re-embark on my medical journey." In this paragraph, rather than glossing over their experience as a river guide and simply stating that they learned a lot about how to be a resilient leader, the applicant thoroughly explains how this job gave them the skills and the confidence they needed to start seriously pursuing a career in medicine. They also sufficiently established the stakes in their story by describing the immense responsibility of this position and the choices they had to make on a regular basis. And the final sentence serves as a great transition into the rest of the essay, showing us exactly how the summer in California led the applicant to start setting goals and taking steps toward medical school. Next, the applicant writes, "Last fall, I moved back home to New York to learn more about how I could help meet the needs of my community. One of my undergraduate pre-med advisors referred me to a volunteer program at a small clinic that provides services to lower income and disadvantaged community members who are disproportionately affected by chronic health conditions. There I learned about the Lenox Hill Neighborhood House, where I now also serve free nutritious meals to senior citizens with low income 2 days per week. As I've built relationships with patients at the clinic and visitors at the neighborhood house over the past several months, some of them have opened up to me about their own struggles with chronic health conditions. Their doctors do the best they can to treat their symptoms, but their conditions are often rooted in systemic issues like lack of access to preventative care and nutritious foods. These conversations sparked my interest in the variety of conditions that can be caused or exacerbated by nutritional deficiencies." With this paragraph, we learned several important pieces of information. First, the applicant didn't just stumble into the volunteer opportunities at the clinic or the neighborhood house in New York. They moved back home specifically with the intention of learning how they could serve their community's needs, and they reconnected with their pre-med advisor to find the clinic position. Next, instead of just stating that they were inspired by the resilience of the community members they have encountered during these experiences, they explained how specific conversations with those individuals led them to a realization about the prevalence of chronic health issues in communities where people struggle to afford preventative care and nutritious foods. The next paragraph reads, following that interest, I reached out to researchers at University of Pittsburgh's Department of Ophthalmology early this year and secured a position studying potential electrophysiological diagnostic methods for nutritional optic neuropathy, a condition where nutritional deficiencies deteriorate the optic nerve. This project has yielded fascinating insights so far, and we're currently submitting abstracts on our early findings for publication and presentation at the upcoming Association for Research in Vision and Ophthalmology annual conference. Here, we learned that they didn't stumble into the research opportunity either. They actively sought out this opportunity due to their newfound interest in nutrition-linked chronic disease. The applicant has also gone into far greater detail about their research, and they even mentioned their intention to publish their research within the upcoming year. In the penultimate paragraph, the applicant uses some of their remaining characters to demonstrate their fit for Harvard Medical School. Although this isn't a why us essay, it's wise to show in your gap year essays how your values, experiences, and goals match well with each medical school's unique mission, opportunities, and resources. It reads, through Harvard Medical School's Berman Gund Laboratory for the Study of Retinal Degenerations, I hope to build on this research in order to help identify methods for detecting retinal and optic nerve degeneration caused by genetics and nutritional deficiencies even before it has progressed. I also hope to partner with the School of Public Health's Food, Health, and Sustainability Student Club to gain more insights into the wide range of diseases linked to nutritional deficiencies and help influence policies that would eradicate food deserts in Massachusetts and nationwide. In addition to demonstrating their fit for Harvard Medical School, the applicant has demonstrated their genuine interest in and commitment to a specific cause. Whereas the first draft of the essay only mentioned their vague desire to serve their community through medicine, here they give us concrete examples of how they hope to accomplish that through both research and advocacy. The final paragraph reads, looking back on the past year, I'm so glad I took the time to grow as an individual, a care provider, a community member, and a researcher before embarking on my medical school journey. My passion for medicine has always been present, but now I know I can back up that passion with the confidence, experience, and purpose that will be my compass as I navigate the rapids ahead. This brief paragraph ties all of the applicants' experiences together and reiterates why they feel their gap year has been a necessary and formative chapter in their journey toward becoming a doctor. Gap year secondary prompts are becoming increasingly common as more and more college graduates choose to take gap years. Whatever your reasons for taking time away from school, remember that you don't have to make apologies or excuses in your gap year essay. Using these pre-writing and drafting strategies, you can learn to present your gap year experiences in a way that reflects maturity, self-awareness, and a well-rounded resume of life and professional experience. As you continue working on your secondary applications, visit our Secondary Essay Premium Example Hub, where you can browse sample essays in response to every single prompt required by every medical school in the US and Canada. There are over 1,000 essays in total. And don't forget to check out the other videos in our secondary series here on YouTube to learn more in-depth strategies for tackling the other 5 most common secondary essay prompts. Happy writing!